Welcome everybody to this latest webinar from B3i. We've got a really great session planned for you today, all on seamless integration. I'm going to give you a quick run through of what to expect. So here's our agenda for today's webinar. Just quick welcome instructions with the team and with our guests from various different companies. Then we'll have the latest developments from B3i with CEO John Carolin. We'll then quickly move into products and recap with Antonio Marzo, our head of products, who's going to just give everything that we've been doing in the last 3 to 6 months on B3i Re and importantly, what's coming up in the future. Then we're going to hit into our main part of the session, which is our live demonstration. We're going to have Inveos, MSG, Ritablock, and DXC join us for that. We'll be able to see something really, really fantastic. Don't forget that we've got our Q&A session at the end. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see our the Q&A function. So if you have any questions, please put them in there throughout the session, and we'll get to those at the very end and put those to our panel. And then shortly, just a short wrap up at the end. So that's it, nice and quick from me. But I'd like to hand over to B3i CEO John Carolin. Oh, apologies. I haven't done the introductions yet. I've jumped on ahead too far. But here are our speakers for today. So John Carolin, who I just mentioned, Antonio Marzo, our head of products for B3i, Aris Zakas, product owner for B3i Re, Jean-Pierre Fischer from Ritablock, Stefan Mai from Inveos, Marco from MSG, Thomas from Inveos as well, or Ritablock, and Bjornar from DXC. You'll get to meet all those guys in the live demonstration. But in the meantime, I'm just going to hand over to John Carolin to start his session on the latest developments from B3i. John, over to you.
Thank you very much, Red, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to this webinar, and thank you for joining us today. As Red mentioned, I'm John Carolin, the CEO of B3i, and I'm really excited to open today and briefly update you on developments at B3i. Ultimately, seeing is believing. Today is less about talking about what we've accomplished, but my esteemed colleagues and business partner demonstrating the automagical integration of B3i across multiple systems. I want to start by keeping this quite simple about why B3i exists and what we've done as a result. At B3i, we're enabling frictionless risk transfer, ultimately creating better insurance for end customers. Fundamentally, our stakeholders at B3i believe that by acting together, we can ensure that new processing standards, data protocols, and network infrastructure will remove friction in risk transfer, reducing market-wide inefficiencies and enabling growth. These efficiencies and opportunities cannot be achieved by insurers or intermediaries acting alone. So how are we doing this? We do this by, firstly, establishing standards, protocols, and infrastructure, enabling partners and third-party application developers, and lastly, curating a functionally rich ecosystem serving the global insurance industry. What does this practically mean? Practically, it means a physical network of transacting parties. It means seeding the network with applications that solve real-world problems, generating tangible business benefits. It involves a platform, one we call Fluidity, that enables third parties and B3i, together with its partners, to rapidly build interoperable applications, minimizing costs and allowing scale. So where are we in this journey? We've established this network. And one of the important things I want to share with you today, over the last 2 years, we've developed something we call Node as a Service. It's B3i's cloud-managed infrastructure. More than 90% of our customers use this infrastructure. It's class-leading from a performance and cost perspective. And ultimately, people don't come to the network for the infrastructure. They want to use higher-level functionality. But what Node as a Service has done is it's effectively removed the cost barrier to operating infrastructure. This is something that was used that only 18 months ago was quite expensive, and B3i's Node as a Service has changed the game. This has allowed us to scale this network. Today we have 43 legal entities, 43 companies that operate nodes within that network, and this has is set to expand as we work on projects, both market solutions and regional projects across reinsurance, commercial insurance, and retail insurance use cases too. We expect to see significant growth in these numbers based on the current projects that we're working on. And now I'd like to move on and talk about what's happening on top of these foundations. We'll start with applications, our products. So B3i Re is our lighthouse product that Antonio and Aris will talk more about. It's a product that has matured significantly since its first release as cat excess of loss placement, and we have the objective this year of having legally bound contracts originated and administered on Ledger. We've also delivered a project for the Europco insurance organization, and this one was important for us for a number of reasons. Firstly, we have a very happy customer who we've delivered on time, on spec, and we're very pleased to have been able to serve their needs. And for us internally, it's also been important for us to prove out reuse of our code. So we're able to deliver this project over a timeline of 4 months, which is a significant increase in velocity over other products that we've been working on previously. And then moving on to partners, there's an old African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And in TCS and MSG, we have great partners. These are not just suppliers of resources to B3i. TCS has a desire to co-anchor our ecosystem, and this has led to a deep collaboration with many shared objectives of co-creating value for our customers. With MSG, who we've been working with for some time as a trusted partner, we've launched ReInLab, a co-innovation space for the insurance industry. You may also remember, some of you might have seen last year, we also demonstrated integration with FS RI that we worked on with MSG. Moving on to the ecosystem and third-party applications, we're also seeing a growing demand for others to build on top of our network and platform. And with Ritablock, we have our first third-party application in our ecosystem. Our relationship with Ritablock goes back some time, and the role they play is absolutely turnkey. Solving real-world problems and generating business value includes preserving and sweating existing investments in systems. With a growing network of parties using different core admin systems, as well as standard electronic data interchange gateways, comes a great need of translation of accounting data, and we're excited to jointly demonstrate how this seamlessly enabled by Retablocks within the B3i ecosystem. Retablock solution is an important enabler that brings us significantly closer to business codified in contracts driving systems rather than systems driving contracts. Our team of 100 people across B3i, MSG, and TCS are working full-time on many projects across multiple lines and types of businesses, reinsurance, commercial insurance, and retail. These include, as I mentioned, market solutions, but also regional sub-networks. And we're very excited about the growth of this ecosystem in the coming months and with the announcements that we will bring to you later. With that update on B3i, I want to hand over to my colleague, Antonio, who's our head of product, who will kick off the product recap. Thank you very much, everyone, and I certainly hope you enjoy today's webinar.
Thanks a lot, John, for the great introduction. And it's true, as you said, right? If you want to go far, go together. But it's also worth to mention that the last market update we gave, it was in September 2020. And we were just in September, introducing technical accounting. And I have to say that despite the conditions, the challenging conditions we have been operating, this new normal, we managed to also go quite fast. And if you look at in how many areas we have been able to develop the multiple propositions we have, it's absolutely incredible. And with that, I'd really like to thank all the people that have been contributing to that. Aris has done an incredible, tremendous job as product manager of our reinsurance solutions to really drive the business to understand what are the fundamental benefits that such type of technology can bring to the industry. And we have been pursuing, as you said, multiple work streams. It's happening. Now, the business is actually realizing that it is actually possible to achieve automatic synchronicity between carriers, where you can really trust a ledger that gives you the opportunity of seeing what everyone else is seeing, what everyone else that is part of your business, of course, because there are fundamental, strong privacy elements there. But reinsurance has been the lighthouse work stream we have been investing a lot. But through the lens of reinsurance, we have been looking into multiple work streams and multiple projects. At the end, reinsurance is risk transfer. And through that, we have been working with Robco, as you said, but we have been looking and investing into international programs, and new updates will come in future. We have looked at parametric insurance, which is bread and butter for our technology, our fluidity platform, and this will come also in future. We have been looking at MGAs, engagements, and true network interoperability between MGAs and network. We have been looking into data exchange and really enable seamless exchange of data of any kind between carriers. So the purpose of this infrastructure, as you said, is to really drive adoption in terms of enabling standards, protocols, and real network interoperability. So, but if we look at our lighthouse product, what has happened, what we delivered in March 2021. First of all, we have finally enabled the integration with our partner application on top. So today, B3i Re can coexist on the same node, on the same operating node with other applications. And Ritablock is the first one that has enabled this level of interoperability. And so now what happens is that whenever technical accounts are generated on a distributed ledger, Ritablock is capable of reading those technical accounts and facilitate magically, seamlessly, the integration, the export of this information into the admin system. Because what we know is admin systems are critically important for the industry. It is not paying the duty to call them legacy. They are not a legacy. They are a strong enabler. And what we do with B3i, we're bringing to them an alternative layer where they can actually truly set up a shared version of the tool. In March, we have also extended our capabilities to cover claims management. Now the ledger can accommodate losses and claims, and the business can execute their processes, which today are executed via emails or PDFs or other forms. They can leverage our infrastructure to really execute business decisions and business workflow around losses. And so they can share, claims advice, they can negotiate losses, they can qualify what are the losses parameters, and the infrastructure even supports for some calculations to ensure that, the contract's values and amounts are actually associated properly with the contract parameters, and the system support, the protocol supports also, if required, the calculation of recoverables, the calculation of reinstatement premiums, and then it supports, we have extended also additional features for technical accounting. We can now support sophisticated endorsements, which is one of the biggest pain points. If you remember, the industry may achieve synchronicity when the contract is bound, but then suddenly when endorsement happens, this synchronicity is lost. And we are enabling the ledger to support the evolution of the contract and therefore associate then the technical accounts to the contract that is evolving according to those inputs. And with that, we are moving into, supporting the adjustment of the premium at the end of the cycle to ensure, again, that we are literally delivering to the members of the B3i network, being their carriers or brokers or software or solution providers, the possibility of achieving synchronicity. And this is now operational. It's done. We will be showing today how beautiful works the seamless integration. But let's have a look at the future. And we have had quite a wide community members, a number of customers working with us, and the pipeline of the features that B3i has been developing is filling up quite fast. And as you said, if you want to go far, go together. But to be honest, the more we are, the more is the pressure that customers and members are putting on us in order to increase. There is a huge appetite on exploiting and leveraging such type of business value. So August, we'll see a new release of B3i Re, and we will be extending our capabilities beyond excess of loss treaties per event or per risk, where they are, into quota share. So we will be moving into a dimensions which was considered by our network of members quite a complex dimension. But I think we have been able to do quite a great job in that area, because we are in the implementation of quota share. We are not only enabling the placement part and the capturing of sophisticated data points which are relevant for underwriters, but we are also capturing those data that will streamline the admin phase afterward. We will be extending our capabilities in sharing gigabytes of data. So now this protocol can truly be seen as an end-to-end seamless protocol that can enable not only the binding of contracts, so the creation of that truth, the creation of a fact, but also the association of that to the gigabytes of data that typically are shared in the pre-placement phase when there is modeling activity that is executed. And this, we will extend our capabilities in order to also support even more the wording management, because we know that contracts are made of parameters, but the today industry and the behaviors is pretty tight, bound to prose. And of course, we want to have wording. And we will be extending the file management features to ensure that we can really consolidate in a single protocol, in a single solution, the possibility of sharing contract parameters, files of any kinds, qualify what is the wording, therefore what is the contract that is meant to represent the binding layer, and associate to this type of set of information all the technical accounts that will come in future. It's quite simple, but at the end it means that we will have in an infrastructure a consolidated view of all the elements that are representing a treaty, from the contracts to the documents, to the files, to the accounts, to the messages. Everything can be exploited and leveraged by systems that will be integrated into this infrastructure. And then, of course, we will be extending claims and technical accounts, because we have users that are using it and they are quite challenging in providing us requirement. They want to have more improvements, and we are improving into multiple dimensions. We are extending the claims, we are extending contract features, we are increasing the complexity, and we are improving the user experience, because we really want to ensure that there is a great experience for underwriters and accountants. But then looking at Q4 2021, it's quite a short time frame, but as you said, we also go fast. A major achievement will be delivered in November 2021. We will be complementing our protocol with the capabilities of supporting facultative reinsurance. Still reinsurance, but trust. I mean, I know you can trust us if I say that the complexity and the level of details that must be captured to define an excess of loss or a quota share facultative reinsurance contract is quite different compared to a treaty. You need to embed lots of details about the underlying risks and policy. And that's where the beauty comes. But we are extending into facultative placement and accounting, leveraging our stack. We will be extending the accounting capabilities to support the statement of account for quota share contracts, especially because of their complexity. Together with our partners, we will be extending our capability to support the Rushicon post-placement message. Because again, we want to deliver you a single version of the truth, but we want to ensure that you can foster that truth with whatever technology you are using, with whatever technology you prefer to use in order to export this information. And Rushicon, together with Accord, have been doing a great job in qualifying a new message standard, which is the post-placement standard, that we expect that this will really create a huge benefit and generate literally seamless exchange over a distributed shared version of the tool. And then we will be advancing our capabilities on the technical accounting, improving features, and supporting more workflows around single accounting items. Quite a challenging roadmap ahead of us, and more things will come, more products. We are investing, as I said, in international programs which is an area which for us it represents an incredible opportunity for the industry. But now, let me thank Inveos, Ritablock, DXC, and MSG for for their availability in participating in this journey. As we said, B3i is an enabler. We deliver to the industry a unique technology and a unique opportunity, which is fully complementary to what the industry has today. And we want to enable, we want to deliver technology that really represents a future-proof path on which we can transform the industry step by step. So now I will hand over to Aris Tsakas, the product manager of B3i, and Jean-Pierre Fischer, business development manager for Ritablock, to show to you a seamless live demo of our integration capability.
So I will slightly take over. Thanks a lot, Antonio. I would express from Ritablock that we are very proud that we are involved with you and your colleagues and the colleagues from Inveos, DXC, and MSG in today's showcase. We want to present today on real systems, but allow me that I give you a short overview by using one animated slide to explain you what we will go to show. So first, we will have one cedent, one broker, and reinsurer in a DLT network, which is the B3i network based on R3 Corda. And first, B3i Re will sign a contract. And this signing the contract by the cedent will immediately generate the signing as a single point of truth in all the other nodes which are attached to these contracts on the broker side, on the reinsurer side, immediately. So, but this will not only generate the contracts too far. Sorry, can you go back, please? So this will not only generate the contracts, but it will also, on the smart contract, it will generate the premium automatically. And it will not only generate the M&D premium for the first half year, which is due, but it will also generate the premium for the second half year, which is not yet due. And you can see left bottom, you have the cedent with the premiums in green, in frame green, in blue. And you can see with the reinsurer that this will be automatically distributed to the relevant node. And in orange, you can see the brokerage, which is then generated automatically by the broker and on the different reinsurer. So when this was shown on a DLT network with a smart contract, generating the contracts immediately when signing, generating the account, when this was shown to market players, they said, fantastic, that's the way we want to go. But today we would need at least the figures transferred to our current reinsurance system so that we are able to take that together with other figures and to move it to the general ledger. And now we have embedded Ritablock. Thanks to Ritablock, we will show you that you can easily transfer that to standard reinsurance system like ProRis, like SICS, like SAP-FS RI. We could show it with Rise from Entity Data, which has a link already. At the moment, we are doing a proof of concept with the French company Prima Soft for Prima Excel. So you can already cover quite a lot of existing reinsurance systems. And if this is not installed at your company, we can from Ritablock transfer with a CSV file everything to Excel. So at the end, we will show you what Ritablock embedded means for all this mentioned system. So enough about slides. I will give over to Aris. Aris, please start the presentation.
Oh, Aris, you're on.
I think I was muted. Yes, so I was going to say thank you, Jean-Pierre, and thank you, Antonio, for the introduction. I hope you all see my screen. So in this demo, we're going to be focusing on the post-placement side of things, and in particular, the integration and how easy and seamless integration of technical accounting information is between B3i and other insurance systems via Ritablock, as you saw in the previous slide that Jean-Pierre presented. So you can see in this case, I'm acting like the cedent. And you can see on the left side all the parties that you saw on the network, the broker, and the 3 reinsurers. And at this point in time, we're at this stage where the reinsurers, they all written their lines. You can see here the 3 contracts for the 3 reinsurers. What you haven't seen in this case is how the treaty was created, how the submission data was uploaded, how the reinsurance terms were constructed using parametric data. And of course, the quotation stage and how we got to the firm order terms. So we're going to focus here now on the post-placement side. If I open the contract very briefly, just to show you the structure, the simple structure with 2 layers. They have 2 reinstatements each. They've got some coverage terms, and of course the premium information and the brokerage information. And if I go to the installment schedule, so you see here for each layer the total deposit premium and brokerage amounts, and we have 2 installments for these 2 layers. In this case, with equal amounts for these 2 installments. And as Jean-Pierre mentioned, one is already due 1st of March, and the other one is not yet due at the beginning of July. And that's information, that schedule is going to be used to generate the technical accounting information automatically. I'm not going to sign the contract one by one using this button here. Instead, I'm going to use this graphical overview, which simplifies things for me. I can see already there are 3 reinsurers. I can see the written lines. I can see that they have oversubscribed, so total lines exceed 100%. So down here in the table, I will go ahead and sign them down. So I'm going to make sure I got 100% of my placement. Okay, and I'm going to click on bulk signing. And what that does, signing completed, what that does is that the contracts get signed across all the parties that are on the network. So what we've enabled in this system is every party is on the same page at each point in time, from initial steps when they get the first submission details all the way to signing. And if I were to quickly show you how the technical accounting information looks like after having signed the contract, you can see all this information. Remember the 2 layers with 2 installments each, one being due, others being not yet due. And of course, we have 3 reinsurers. We have quite a number of details here. And of course, what we would expect now and what we will see is that this information is also flowing via Ritablock to the other insurance systems. So I'm going to hand over now to Stefan May from ProRis to show you how this looks like on the ProRis side.
Okay, hello together. Thank you, Aris. Yeah, now I will show you how it looks like if the accounts get into ProRis. I will share my screen. So now you can see ProRis, and I will show you how the user of ProRis can manually import these accounts. He only press a button for a download because ProRis need to get the accounts from the reader node. This took a moment. Okay, now I've imported 4 accounts. And in this way, I can show you the original data imported. This is premium for the effective date of 1st of July, 1 million. And I will show you the other one. And this, I will transfer it, call it. If you transfer the original data into the ProRis booking codes, account codes, LOB IDs, and I will show you this one. And in this way, I can show you that I received always the brokerage. So that was the easy way to import these generated accounts from B3i into ProRis. And in this way, and now I will give over to Björnar, and he will show you how it looks like in DXC.
Thank you for this. I'm sharing my screen, just a second. In SICS, we have different options for how to integrate with solutions like B3i Reinsurance. And for this particular integration, we chose to use Accord standard messages, utilizing the comprehensive e-messaging processing engine in SICS. And here we are looking at SICS, and we have opened the screen for finding e-messages in the archive. And clearly, the purpose of integrating with B3i is to have seamless integration without any human intervention. So we could have chosen to configure SICS to process all the messages automatically, but it wouldn't give such a visual demo. So we have chosen, in this case, to leave the messages unprocessed. So you can see here we have received 4 accounts. We can now manually choose to process them, and now they are processed with the e-messaging module in SICS and booked as accounts. And to see this, we can open one of the messages. We are still in the message view. Here we have the message received from B3i. We can look at the data in a more easily consumable way based on a style sheet created by the reinsurer. We can also examine the original Accord XML formatted message, and so forth. And just to show you also some of the capabilities of the automation in SICS, here we have the comprehensive set of validation rules, which can be applied for message processing. For example, to decide what happens in the case where some of the references are wrong, if amounts have been exceeded a certain threshold, and so forth. And you then define rules for either managing this automatically or leaving it for manual intervention. You can also see that for related messages, we have also generated an acknowledgement message, which can be passed back to the sender. But finally, of course, the accounts have been booked, and we can now go to the worksheet side of SICS, the accounting module, and we here see the actual account being booked in the accounting system of SICS. From here, we can, of course, navigate further and, for example, look at the actual contract. But now we are well beyond the purpose of this demo, so I'll close it there and hand it over to SAP-FS RI.
Yes, thank you, Björnar, and also hello from my side. I will share my screen and show you how it looks at MSG side. You should see my screen now, and what you see is a component of MSG for our smart input management, and that's the post-processing office. That's basically, let's say, a working basket for an accountant where he sees open work to do. And as we see here, we just received also 4 activities from the Ritablock node. And in this case, there is nothing to do for the accountant. Usually, if you have to do some business mappings, like we saw from Stefan, some missing mappings, you would see working entries here in the basket, and then you could map those missing entries. In that case, we decided to show the happy case so that the system could automatically import these activities and automatically transfer these items to FS RI. So when we switch to the FS RI activity search, we should see 4 new accounts which we received. And what the system did, it also did a huge amount of checks, so existency checks, business checks, consistency checks, and if all those checks pass correctly, then the accounts are being automatically finalized. And takes some time, obviously. get the result. I'm sorry for this waiting time. Hope that I didn't lose my connection now.
Perhaps we can show Thomas. You can show how this looks like the CSV file, and then we can come back to Marco.
Yeah, let's play this.
Okay, so what we can see here is just a list of files. Another option to export data. What we've seen so far was the direct integration into your local accounting system. But in some companies, you may already have some custom interface to import the accounting data from files. And for that, we could also set up an automatic export of CSV files or Excel files from via Ritablock. And this could be some custom structure. We could also maintain some custom mappings. And as the result of this, whenever a new account is created in the distributed ledger, then a new flat file would be generated here. And if I refresh the screen, we see a few more files generated a few seconds ago. And the content of the file is, in this case, just a simple text structure of how these technical accounting data would look like in a flat file. That's what I wanted to present here. And with that, Marco.
Yes, you could hand over back to me. So I really need my SAP connection, but I have it again now. So let me share again my screen. And apologies. So
not a problem, Marco. Whilst you're just doing that, I'll just remind everybody to please put your questions in the Q&A for us, and the guys will be answering it straight after this session.
So you should see again on my screen, and you should see the FSRI activity search where we received those 4 accounts for, let's say, 2 accounts for March and 2 accounts for July, with the premium and the commission on each account. And you see this is the brokerage account, and here's the other one. Then is the premium account. And what you also see is that the accounts are already finalized in this happy case. So the accounts are already posted to the current account system. So no need to do some interaction here in this happy case. So that's what I wanted to show you. And I guess now I hand back to Jean-Pierre again.
We'll hand over to Antonio just to give a quick.
Antonio, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We went a little bit out of order, so it's fine.
It is truly a live demo. I mean, and I was really, shaking a bit, because we know every time how it works. When you do a live demo, 99% of the time something wrong happens. And we had the environments working up and running, but you never know. And this was truly the example of how seamless this could be. Literally enabling an infrastructure where we can achieve this level of synchronicity. Imagine the possibility of having a technology that's similarly to the email, is enabling everyone to communicate with everyone, but instead of having a structured, very complex message, you can embed in your message business rules and accounting information, and truly have an automatic synchronization amongst the multiple parties. And as I said, imagine the email, because whenever you're sending an email to someone, you don't care which system they are using. You just write your email. Of course, this technology to work requires that the members are part of the network. You need to be enabled to communicate in the network. Something very similar, like you need to have a smartphone in order to be able to receive and make phone call over mobile network. With that, I'd like Red to open the audience to the audience for questions, and we will be happy to answer and to support with any doubts or any additional information that will be required.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Antonio. It's a great opportunity to put any of these questions to the panel, exactly how things work, how they intend to see things work in the future. So please put your questions into the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. There's a little button that says Q&A. Just type it in there and we can put them to Antonio, Aris, Bjornar, Jean-Pierre, anybody here, and we can get those answered for you straight away. If not, whilst we're waiting, because obviously I don't want to rush you guys, but put your questions in there. I would like to go back a slide, Antonio, and just to explain quickly, you talked about the commissions and things working between brokers on this slide that we went through before, maybe just to help people understand the way that things move across the network.
Yes, of course. So, we have seen the last step of the process because we didn't want to go through all the complexity, but more importantly, because we know that a placement process is not linear. And therefore, sometimes when we just show a placement process, which is so simple, we often hear, well, the reality is much more complex. And we support that complexity. The placement process is not linear. In the B3i Re protocol, you can support the entire types of steps. It is compliant with the Rushlicon workflow, and it can support even beyond that. It really enables true exchanges. And so we have anticipated this. What we did is the broker was authorized explicitly by the cedent with a specific contract to be submitted to the market. So there was a formal approval that was granted by the cedent to the broker with the firm order terms. The firm order terms were sent to the entire network, and out of that network, only 3 reinsurers at the end subscribed, wrote their line. They have confirmed that they were willing to write 40-30x%. And at that step, there are 2 options. The signing needs to be formalized and concluded. In this scenario, we have seen the cedent to be executed the down signing. In a single step, the cedent was actually completing the panel with all the shares, down signing. There are possibilities, for example, if the cedent may sign below the minimum line to stand, this will trigger an additional step for the reinsurer to actually understand the reasons behind and eventually reject that or accept. Once the contract was signed, it is the moment where the single version of the truth is generated for everyone, and that is the time when the technical accounting starts to be generated, or as I answered the question in the chat, or can be associated. Because of course, we do envisage the possibility that the technical accounting can be generated automatically in a full automatic way, or the technical accounting could be booked into the admin systems, but then associated to the contract on ledger so that the network can guarantee and secure that the information is exactly going to the counterparties that have committed, bound online on that contract.
Antonio, we've got a couple of questions coming in now. So I'll start with the first one that came through. Haley Banks, if a technical account is incorrect, how do you reject it? And how do you keep track of what accounts have been rejected to ensure you eventually receive the corrected account?
Yes, and also Aris, please feel free to step in. We are developing this feature for the next release, which will enable the execution of workflows, standard workflows on those technical accounts. And we are in a distributed ledger environment, Haley, so it means that you can audit, you can have a full detailed audit trail of all the steps that were executed on a specific item, either a contract, either a loss claim, an account, statement of account. And no one will lose that traceability. The beauty of this is that it delivers synchronicity not only for the version of the truth, for the fact, but for the entire historical changes that happen for every single item that is committed on a distributed ledger. It is a fundamental paradigm shift. It is bringing the industry literally in synchronism, okay? Not only for what is the current status, but for the entirety of the evolution of that status, from the beginning to the last movement, which could be even in 10 years' time, because you know how it works with, you know better than us, how it works with long-tail treaties. And that's the beauty of this technology, preserving the truth and preserving the life cycle evolution.
Right, I hope that answers your question, Haley. We have another question here from Sebastian. This might be a more tricky one, I think, but is the B3i FSRI integration also available for setup of the contract itself? We obviously showed the signing of the lines and being pushed down the line by Ritablock. What happens with contract creation?
You want to take this, Aris?
Absolutely. So yes, from B3i Re perspective, we what you saw obviously in the demo is a user interface, but behind the scenes we have standard REST APIs. So yes, we support integration for the contract data via those APIs. And as we also mentioned, we're also looking into the post-placement message from Ruslicon to also support that for systems that do also accept this post-placement message. So in particular with FSRI, we actually did a proof of concept. So we actually tested this integration, which was exactly around sending contracts signed on the B3i Re application over to FSRI. So that integration has been proven in particular, and we also invite other systems to also come to us. We're happy to set up those proofs of concept. Sometimes we also have a client involved, and that's even better because we can do it with a specific contract in mind. But it's something which is possible and something we actually encourage because we understand there's a landscape of applications out there, and whether it's another placement platform, whether it's a broker system, we want to enable that integration.
Thanks, Aris. And I think, Carsten Schmidt, I hope that answers your question there around how are the contracts created in the legacy system, the RESTful APIs that Aris mentioned. More technical question here. Can we have a brief of what languages, Java, JavaScript, can be used for development / customization? Who would like to take that one?
Yes, I can take that. You know, the solution, I think what we have to look at, what we have seen from B3i standpoint, let's talk a little bit technical here. We have a user interface that you have seen, and the user interface can be developed in any framework, you know, React, Angular, or any framework that you really have, because at the end, that user interface is then plugged in on top of our API layers, and the API layer is what is enabling the communication with the backend, so with the engine, with the node. And the node, it's built entirely using R3 Corda platform and software development kit. And we are using Java and Kotlin as a base language for the backend. However, what we have seen so far is that most of the customization required, it's usually on the front end, because the backend supports for all the business processes. The backend integrates a very rich and industry top-notch domain model for insurance and reinsurance, which we invite even whoever is interested to come and evaluate the fluidity risk transfer language. And with that domain model, it will be possible to generate DLT transactions and to develop contracts of any kind. But you may just create those contracts from a user interface standpoint, because you're just calling, sorry to being technical, the APIs, and you will be able to generate a contract which is either a quota share or an excess of loss, a facultative, or a primary contract, a primary insurance contract with all the limits, sub-limits, deductible, and bind that contract or execute different type of workflow steps. The engine, the backend engine, is quite complete. The front end is where, you know, we will see real innovation, because and we are enabling vendors to really innovate on the front end level, because we are abstracting from them all the complexity that developing a network technology and a backend engine that can really support insurance requires. And that backend engine is what we provide to the Fluidity platform.
Thanks, Antonio. We've got another question here, which might be for Aris as well, from Charlie. How does this technology assist in negotiation quotation stages for a reinsurance contract? So I know we're not talking integration here at the moment, but these are all important steps that we maybe didn't show. Exactly.
So we didn't show this step in the demo. So we started from the point where the reinsurers have submitted the written lines, but you can imagine that we support the creation of the submission, of the quoting slip, and of course of the final terms, as we saw. And the benefit really is that the negotiation can happen entirely in this platform. So all your contracts, the quote requests you receive, the quotes you submit, which can be multiple, they just happen in the platform. So there's no more sending emails and having to keep track of those. All the data is available, as you saw, we support uploading of gigabytes of data now. The messages are also there, so you can ask questions and have conversations with the right context. So let's say around your specific contract. So all of these support having this placement within a single place. So not having to, following up or getting confused with what's the latest version, because you always see the latest version of the truth. And of course, with full audit trail, how you go to this stage, whether the specific data point changed, you can go to the audit trail and see that exactly which of all the parameters have changed.
Sorry, I've actually got a question here for, I think, Jean-Pierre, if you wouldn't mind stepping up. Does Ritablock support post-placement messaging using a Accord standard to prevent API integration with reinsurance application, and instead using the existing standard?
Actually, not yet, but we have started to think about. We are also in discussion with B3i, and we are sure that on the next webinar, we can inform that Ritablock can support this as well.
Right, nice and simple. Thank you for that, Jean-Pierre. Got another question here from Carsten. Are there any limits concerning capacity? For example, how long does it take to process 10,000 accounting records on a daily basis?
That's a great question, and this is absolutely not different from any standard technology that we have today. So we see that there are no limitations in terms of capabilities. It's a scalable technology that can support tens of thousands of transactions, and we're not talking about Bitcoin or this type of technology that may have a latency, that have a different type of consensus mechanism. Here we're talking about a technology that is built to support the volumes that the industry needs, and it can easily scale to support the volumes that are required. So we have tested it, and we have never seen really challenges in supporting huge volumes like thousands of transactions.
All right, so time myself. Nice and easy answer there. I've got one more before we go, and I think it was on GDPR. Here we go. Sasha, is there a mechanism on the DLT layer to delete data elements if legally required, deleting personal identifier information when requested by an individual, i.e. GDPR?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The technology is GDPR compliant. Now, we need to consider that the aim of this technology is to ensure that there is synchronicity. Now, synchronicity doesn't mean that you cannot change the past. Synchronicity means that if you change something, everyone will be on the same page. So that change will be applied to everyone. And so it's true that we have a blockchain technology, but we have to look at the perimeter where we are applying that technology and how this is actually used. And if we enable that possibility, Corda supports it, B3i as well. So if there is any need to evolve a contract or to update data and to remove personal information after 10 years, this is absolutely possible. It is just considered by the system as an evolution of the information. And if the validations provides that after 10 years from the inception, a specific data type can be obscured, this is a simple, I would say, transaction to be executed for all the participants there. So that data, the beauty is that that data will be obscured for all the reinsurers or brokers or other carriers that through the network has been in synchronism with that specific information.
Just to mention here as well, obviously that's a question for every company or provider based on this technology. So there are solutions out there. I mean, just to name one is crypto shredding. So it's the practice where you essentially you delete the encryption key, so you cannot access this data anymore. So there are solutions out there because it's of everyone's interest who uses technology to comply with these regulations.
Thanks, Harris. We've had loads of questions, so thank you very much to everybody. Can't get through all of them, but I just want to hand over for 2 minutes just to hand over to John to give a last closing statement, and then I'll do a quick wrap up with a few extra things. So, John, over to you.
Thanks very much, Fred. And I just want to share with everyone, you know, I've always been deeply passionate about technology because I feel that sometimes, you know, to code something and see it come alive is like a special type of creation. And I said earlier, this is about seeing is believing, and fundamentally, a lot of what happens with this technology happens underneath the hood. You don't see it. So the dream of letting smart contracts drive automation and ultimately enable straight-through processing is what we saw today across multiple systems. And I'm borrowing this from a customer last week who told me about the vision of having contracts drive systems and not systems drive contracts. I think for me, like it's a really proud moment at B3i to be able to do this. We've done a lot to set up an application that creates a smart contract payload to see that distributed across a network of trading partners, integrated into systems and evolving the performance obligations, the premium payables, the claims receivables that arise under that contract, and really grounded in that single version of the truth is very different from just digital contracts or digitizing paper-based processes. It's really letting that consensus of that single version of the truth eliminating wasteful reconciliations and non-value add processes which consume so much of the resources within the end-to-end insurance cycle. And it's really, you know, this demonstrates really how this can be a massive game changer for the industry. So I'm really proud to have had the opportunity to present this to you with our partners, with a number of the core systems, core admin system vendors, and I think this is bodes of a future that is going to result in massive reductions of unnecessary waste within the insurance industry. And thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. Nice little message at the end there. I'm just going to do a very quick wrap up, conscious that we are to time now. Just want to let you know about the white paper we published a month ago. It's all about end-to-end reinsurance administration, how we're generating value and how you can generate value for your business, how we're creating trusted data and providing certainty, and most importantly, improving the customer experience. We'll be sending out an email after the session for you guys. It'll include the recording, a link to our white paper, and any future upcoming materials that we have planned. Because don't forget, there's a lot in the pipeline, as Antonio has already alluded to. Q3, Q4, B3i is already a very mature piece of software, and we have plenty more in the pipeline. So in the interest of time, all it leaves me to do is thank our guests, Inveos, Ritablock, DXG, and MSG. Thank you so much for taking part in this live demonstration. And thank you to you, everybody who joined us today. You know, hundreds of people there. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.